Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Digital Customer Experience podcast. Today, I have Erno with me, and he's going to be talking about Google Ads for beginners. This episode will help you launch your Google Ads campaign. If you're a beginner and you don't have experience with Google Ads, it can become overwhelming easily and you can waste your Google Ads budget. Erno has been doing Google Ads for more than 15 years, and he's going to show us practical step-by-step guide for you to create your Google Ads. One thing I want you to understand is if you're listening to this podcast in audio, you can listen while you set up your Google Ads campaign. So we're going to walk you through what you should be thinking about, your mindset, and what you should be avoiding. So I'll start with the first question. I know, in your opinion, what exactly is Google Ads? Like, what for someone that is just starting a business, maybe an e-commerce store or lead generation or a carpenter, whatever thing they're doing, and they're trying to get customers through online marketing, what exactly is Google Ads and how does it work?
So basically, Google Ads is Google online ad platform where you can place your ads in different places what Google reaches. So, for example, mostly when people talk about Google Ads, they think the Google search bar and the Google shopping, but actually Google is a bit more than that because now they have YouTube, so you can run video ads on YouTube with Google Ads. You can also run ads on 2 million website called the Google Display Network. So technically, it's a platform that you can use. It used to be called Google AdWords because it started as a target this keyword and that keyword, but now actually it's much more broader than that.
Thank you. So, for a small business starting Google Ads, I also want to kind of highlight that there are other ad platforms. So, can you just talk us through so people kind of know that, okay, it's not just Google Ads? What other advertising platforms are there? Because people sometimes, when they hear Google Ads, they think about the general landscape of paid advertising. So, what other platforms apart from Google Ads can people also explore? And I believe the same principle applies across all platforms.
Yes. So many times, yeah, people when they want to start a campaign, they go to Google Ads because it's like 90% of the time, this is kind of like the go-to platform. However, there are certain businesses that we see that some other platforms working better. So, for example, there is Microsoft Ads.
Okay.
Especially in the US, it has a quite, around 10 to 15% of share of the searches compared to Google Ads. It's a bit lower in Europe and some other non-English speaking countries, but in the UK and US, they have a quite decent share. It's really similar to Google Ads, but there are some differences. So, for example, it works better in a B2B space
Okay.
because a lot of larger enterprises are using Microsoft Ads.
Okay.
Using Microsoft as their infrastructure. And if you're using Microsoft as your infrastructure, then it will use Bing as a search engine by default.
Nice.
Also, there is Facebook ads, obviously the other large player in the market. So if you have a product which is more like an impulse buy product, smaller average order value product, which can be useful, people not exactly looking for it, but it's good for Mother's Day gift or something like that. Maybe Facebook is a better platform to start the ads. And also there are some other players, TikTok ads, Reddit ads. So there are all kind of platform. Each has slightly different advantages and disadvantages.
Just to kind of clarify, so what you're saying is if you are a B2B brand, I think Microsoft Ads works better. And if you have products where people are like impulsive buyer, where they just buy it at random, then like Facebook ads and other ad platforms are good. So in effect, the same principle applies across the ad network, how you set up the ads. So good.
Yeah,
So in
yeah, yeah,
terms of
yeah.
In terms of benefits, so we're talking about small to medium sized organizations. These organizations don't have a big brand. They're not on television. People don't know them too well. So, what exactly are the benefits of Google Ads to these small businesses? Why should they even bother investing in Google Ads, setting up a Google Ads campaign? What exactly do they stand to gain, in your opinion?
So, in my opinion, capturing the demand. Basically, in Google search, the demand is there.
Okay.
People actively looking for a solution to their problem. So either they need an omega-3 capsule because they read it from somewhere, or the doctor recommended it to them, or they see that the tiles of their roof starting to fall off, so they need a roofer. So Google is capturing all these demands, and that's why it's a good source to start your advertising journey with Google Ads, because a lot of demand is there. And also there are some other
Benefits.
benefits, yeah, like because there are a lot of levers that you can pull to start your Google Ads campaign, and basically it's a double-edged sword, the control, because you can set up really targeted campaign just in one area, just in zip code, just targeting a certain audience, or just in a certain period of the day. But also at the same time, if you are not making these required settings within your Google Ads account, basically you will waste a lot of budget on Google Ads.
Okay. So we talked earlier on about the large established brands, your Coca Cola, your Mercedes. People know all these brands. And you then have the smaller brands that people don't know. So you mentioned earlier on that Google Ads is very, very good for capturing demand. So for a business owner, what this entails is people that are ready to convert. Google Ads will
Yeah,
capture those people for
yeah.
you. So, in terms of then, how do you then, if you don't have a brand, say for example, Coca Cola and all these big organizations, people search for their brand straight away and then they then come to the website. So, how do you then structure a small business that is just starting and doesn't have any brand awareness? People don't know about them. How do you then go about creating a campaign for Google Ads to help them understand that, okay, you don't have a brand, but Google Ads can still help you? How does that work?
So I would say there are two main categories of businesses that can use Google Ads. One category is more like an e-commerce style business. So I have a shop and I'm selling products.
Okay.
For that type of business, I would start with a shopping campaign, a Google shopping campaign, or a Google Performance Max campaign. We will talk about those later. Obviously, for service type businesses, so I'm a roofer, I'm a plumber, or I have a SaaS tool that businesses can use, I would start with the Google search campaign.
Okay. So what are then the different types of campaign? Because you just said something now. You said shopping, you said search. So for a business owner that wants maybe even hire a contractor or an agency to help them set up their own Google Ads account, these individuals need to know what the business should be focusing on, because sometimes they fall into mistakes where the agency is not delivering, especially if they don't have the understanding. So this episode is just to help them understand. So let's just talk about the campaigns types that they can use. You mentioned Google search campaign. What exactly is that? Can you just quick can you just talk about Google
Yeah,
search
yeah, yeah, yeah.
campaign?
So basically it focuses on the core Google function where people type in a keyword and they want to see roofers nearby. They are looking for a barbershop nearby. They are looking for a type of CRM software. So for that type of queries or that type of demand, you need to build a search campaign. And
Okay.
for most businesses who want to start with Google Ads, I would highly recommend to start there.
Okay.
So there are, as you mentioned, there are other type of campaigns. You can run a YouTube campaign, so video campaign. You can run an app install campaign. That's a very specific niche.
For
Uh,
mobile for You mean app install? So when someone has an app that they want people to
Yes, yeah, yeah,
download,
yeah.
okay,
So
so you can use Google Ads to do that. Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. You can use, so if you have an iPhone or Android app, you can use Google Ads as well to get more installs
And this is
or
very, sorry to interrupt.
subscribers.
This is very interesting because what this means is if you're, even if you're a big brand and you want to get the best of your marketing, you can actually use Google Ads to encourage people to download your app. So that kind of
Yes,
reduces
yeah.
the need for them to always go to your website. They can actually buy through your app. And if even if you're a service organization that people actually need elements of a mobile app to use your services, you can use Google Ads to get them to kind of download that app. So let's talk specifically about e-commerce now. You mentioned shopping ads.
Yes.
Obviously, we're going to talk about that in future episode in more details, but in a top level summary, what exactly is shopping ads and how does it work with organizations that have smaller products? You have some organizations that sell expensive products, maybe just four or five, and then you have other organizations that has like 200,000. We've seen website with more than 400,000 products. So how does that work with shopping ads? And
So the shopping ads are very, very similar to the Google search ads, but these are those little images of the products on top of Google search. So if you type something in Google, Google will understand it if it's going for a service. So you're looking for a roofer, you're looking for a plumber, or you are looking for a product. And if Google identifies this search is going for a product, then it will show products instead of websites that are offering services. So the fundamental difference is that we as human being, I think, to kind of like see the product before we buy it. And for products also the price is sometimes, or in many cases, the factor. So when you search for a product, Google shows a different type of ads to you, and they call it shopping ads. So it mainly features the image of the product, a small image. It features obviously the name and price of the product, and if it's free shipping, and also if there is any other promotion like buy one,
get one free.
sorry, 2 1 get one free. Yeah, or something like that.
What Erno is saying specifically is those those Google shopping ads show more visual elements different to the search ads that give you more information. And this is very, very similar to SEO as well, because with SEO you add certain schema markups to your product to show all those information, and those information essentially will encourage people to click. So the goal of those shopping ads is to be visual, give all the information, and then ensure that people click through to all those pages. And I'm just going to take a quick decoy here. Recently, we've seen ChatGPT introduce product listing into their interfaces. At the time of the recording, it's still free, but what this helps is it's when people search for like best something something within such ChatGPT and all this perplexity and all those AI tools, it's showing product images very, very similar to the ones on Google Shopping, similar design, similar everything, and people are not paying to get that traffic. But it's still early days. We don't have enough information, but it's something for business owners to be aware of, that there's also another way where you can optimize your website organically by using schema markups to get those traffic as well. So let's now talk about objectives, because one thing I've seen in some organizations, and I'm sure you've seen Erno as well, is sometimes they're not very clear about their objective. Sometimes it's all about traffic, 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 traffic. They're not really clear that, okay, when we get this traffic, what exactly is our objective? So, in your opinion, can you just talk us through the different objectives that Google Ads can allow businesses to have and what they should be actually thinking about when setting up their Google Ads account from an objective standpoint?
Well, so from objective standpoint, I would always start with, okay, what are the business goals here? Because
Okay.
I think a lot of people don't understand that a business goal. So a form submission is great. Having an interest is great, but not all form submissions are great because
Yep.
maybe there are some job seekers there or people who want a different service that actually the firm don't support. Always try to match your business goals with the goals in Google Ads. I think it's great to start with obviously form submission. So never go with like page view or something like that. If you're a service-based business, form submission or a phone call could be a really good goal at start. And then you can build up and start refining it as an e-commerce business, if you want to start, I would say start with add to cart
Okay.
as a goal of your campaign, especially if you are start with performance max campaign. We will talk about it later, but because that campaign and basically almost every campaign in Google Ads needs data. So this is how the AI within Google can help you. So I would always recommend if you start a campaign, try to achieve that achieving 30 conversions per month with your campaign. If it's a form submission, then a form submission. If it's a phone call, then a phone call, or it can be add to cart as well.
Okay. So, but basically, for an organization that is just starting up, what Arno is basically recommending is to just go for that your business goal. Try and understand what the conversion goal is on your website. And just to add to what he said, because sometimes you just want to kind of build brand awareness, you want to increase sales, you want to get leads, you want to mention earlier on app download. So, Erno, when someone is looking to create Google Ads, obviously they want to show up in Google. So for someone starting, keyword research can be good, it can be bad. So what are your suggestions? How do they approach keyword research and what tools do they use?
Okay. So first of all, you should start from your website. Ideally, you have a website, and the website has 5, 7 different pages.
Okay.
These are your different services. So you should start there. So for example, you have a page for window replacement and you have another door installations and such. So with the Windows part, there are tools that you can use. For example, Google Trends. So if you type in window replacement into Google Trends, you select the area where you are in. Google Trends will help to understand that what are the patterns when people search more for a window replacement, for example, because that's a bit seasonal because we have a client and I know it's seasonal.
Okay.
People don't want to be without windows in December
In
for
December. For
obvious
winter.
reasons. Yeah. So you will see when people start searching more for window replacement, but also in Google Trends, you should see that what other terms people are looking for. Maybe there is the new brand that they are more likely looking for, or maybe there is some specific problems that they searching for. So for example, problem issues with one different type of window. Also, there is another tool, Google Keyword Planner.
Okay.
So that's a bit more sophisticated for whoever wants to use Google Ads.
Okay.
The trends is for obviously viewing trends, and the keyword planner is mostly for, okay, well, this is the terms that Google thinks could be good for you. This is how many searches you could get in a month for these terms. But also, I highly recommend you just to start playing with the auto suggestion box.
So just to clarify for listeners, what Erno is talking about with auto suggest is when you start typing, when you open Google search and you just start typing what you're looking for, Google will give you some list of things that people have already searched for, like it will auto suggest for you. So it's saying you should also look into creating a keyword list from that. Go on, Erno.
Yes, yeah. So for example, you start typing in window replacement and you hit the space and type an A, and Google just list that, okay, what usually, how other people carry on the searching, refining it. And it's a good way to find some ideas as well. Because both the Google Trends and both the Google Keyword Planner are getting back to, how should I say, general results. So it's not as
Effective.
effective. Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of Google Ads, you mentioned that when someone is doing the keyword research, they should put their website URL into Keyword Planner. It will give them like a list of potential keywords that they're looking for. But what I've seen in the industry working with different clients is Google expects a level of quality from your Google Ads and even from your landing page. And that's what Google then calls like quality score. And in your opinion, why does this matter? Why should a business owner, someone looking to create Google Ads, be looking at the quality of their Google Ads campaign, the quality of their landing page? Can you just talk around why this is important?
Yeah, so basically Google Ads is a sniper tool. So you can target people very, very precisely.
Okay.
And Google wants to give you some boost if you are relevant, because basically that's why Google is there, because it finds the most relevant results for your search. So this is how the whole business is started. So Google Ads kind of like inherited this thinking, and Google wants that you write an ad which is the most compelling to the customer, which is exactly the customer wanted. For example, back to your original question, if you have, and many business owners starts with here, that yeah, I want to capture everyone, and I want to advertise to everyone, so they create an ad and saying that, yeah, well, window replacement, also door installation, also we install new floor tiles, and by the way, kitchen remodel. So they try to squeeze everything into their ads, and Google doesn't really like that.
Okay. So
So
what sorry to interrupt. So what you're saying basically is when people are creating the ads, you mentioned earlier on that is like a sniper. Like Google wants precision. Google
yes.
doesn't want you to try and create one ad and target everybody. So a lot of business owners make those mistakes when you ask them who is your customer. They say everybody. So what Erno is saying here is when you're creating your Google ads, when you're targeting it, for Google to actually like your ads, for Google to actually show your ad, you need to make sure that you target one thing at a time. Don't try and use one campaign or one ad group or one ad copy to target too many people. So yeah, so just focus as a business owner, whoever is helping you create your Google ads, make sure that it's targeted and it's not just for everybody. So another thing that people worry about, I know, is Google is just becoming expensive every day. And although we know about inflation and things like that, but even before inflation, Google's cost per click, CPC, that's the cost you pay for each click someone clicks on your Google ads, is increasing. So how do you make sure that people pay? What exactly would you recommend, Arno, for people to kind of manage that cost per click and to make sure they get the ROI they're expecting, the results that they're expecting? So to avoid wasting money on Google Ads, how do you help them? And how much should they even pay per click? How do you recommend it to your clients?
Too many questions at the time. Yeah, so let's start from kind of like going back a little bit to the previous questions, because it's important. So the quality score is not just there for like fun purposes to show, well, you're at this one, you're at this 10. It's there to show you how relevant your ad, and based on that, if your ad is more relevant, you will get some discount
Okay.
from Google.
Okay.
So, for example, if you start your ad and you see quality score 3 next to your ad after a few days, you will know immediately that there is room for improvement. And if you improve the quality score, which we will talk about later, what element it is, then basically you will start getting a discount. So
Okay.
maybe you see $10 currently what you are paying with quality score 3, but if you could go up with the quality score for like 7, you will pay maybe $6 or $7. So the most relevant your ad, you will start getting discount from Google. So that's why it's really important to be as specific and as compelling with your ad.
Okay. Okay. So basically, what you're saying is the better your ad and your landing page, then you get a discount from Google. So listeners, if you're listening, try and make sure that you optimize your landing page and your Google ads to reduce the cost. So that's the only way, one of the only ways you can reduce your cost per click. So when someone is setting up Google Ads, we see a lot of features that people can use to kind of give out more information. You know, earlier on you said don't give out too much information, don't be too broad because Google would not be able to actually understand what you're trying to do. But Google Ads then helps people give out more information in another way that is relevant, so called ad extensions. Can you just talk us through your understand your what you would recommend from an ad extension perspective?
Yeah, so ad extensions. So when you start your campaign, you usually start with an ad. You create your ad which is specific to your landing page, is specific to your services, but also Google offer to you some extra, and they call it ad extensions.
Okay.
And there are multiple different ad extensions, like call extension. So
Okay.
you can place your phone number into Google, so people don't need to visit your website, they just call you straight away.
Okay.
Also, you can add site link extensions. So this is how you can show, for example, certain other services that you are doing. So, for example, if your ad about window replacement, but you also can add a site link extension as okay, well, by the way, we do doors. And also it's a good idea to add the site link extension is that read or reviews.
Okay.
So people can immediately decide if they want to visit your service page or they want to read the reviews first. And
Okay.
also, if the searcher is close to your location, Google also will show you that this is a local service provider, this is his address. So ad extensions are to beef up a little bit your ad with an extra relevant information.
Yeah. So for listeners, what Erno is saying here basically is the goal is for you to get people to not just view your ad. The goal is to get them to actually click and then come to your website and then convert. And for them to do that, ad extension gives them more options for them to like, oh, this company does this, then they then click and then move forward. So how do you then increase click through rate? We talked about ad extensions and all these extensions that help people get to your website from Google Ads. What would you recommend to make sure that when when a business creates a Google Ad account, because they're not the only one there, you have other people there, competitors and different organizations there. So what can a business do to make sure that when people search for a service or a product that they actually click on your ad as opposed to your competitors? What would you recommend they do?
Yeah, well, I think the key solution here is relevancy,
Okay.
because that's also what Google likes, and that also Google want to find you the most relevant answer to your question.
Yeah.
When you create your first ad, you want it to be relevant to the searcher.
Okay.
If you are a plumber in Manchester, then you need to highlight that in your ad that you are, local,
Okay.
you are a plumber, you can be there within 30 minutes, you provide out of hour service, etc., etc. So I think relevancy is really, really a key factor of your success, and you need to obviously have multiple ads, each relevant to the service that you're providing. And it sounds a bit dumb, but call to action. So many people leave out call to action. So they tell everything about their business, but they just, leave out that call now or contact us now or something like that. So it's also important. And yeah, it looks dumb because obviously people search for, yeah, I need a plumbers, but anyway, it's a good idea to add the call to action to the ad text as well. And I would recommend to focus on some problem solving, so how you are going to solve the people's problem. And if you run out of ideas, you can just check your competitors, and you will have some ideas about.
So let's talk about an example. I worked with a client a while back and they had different types of conversion on their website. Some conversions were actually to get people to download something. And then another conversion was to ask people to book an appointment. And they also had another conversion where they actually want people to find their office address because they had a physical location as well. And then that's like three different conversions. So, in your opinion, how using that example, how do what for Google Ads? How do you then define conversion with that scenario?
That's a great question. So it's a bit advanced, I would say,
Okay.
but usually we assign some kind of business value to those interactions.
Okay.
So for example, and then you can optimize based on those. So for example, you have a business, you have form submissions, as you mentioned, you have phone calls, you have service book downloads or something like that. And usually a call is worth more than the others. So let's say you assign $30 value to a call,
Okay.
and you assign $15 value to a form submission because you need to chase them. They might answer you, so or not, or it's just fake. But if you got a phone call, that's usually a pretty good sign of engagement. And then there is the download, which is, yeah, it's worth something, but it's not much. So probably you assign $5 to the download,
Okay.
a virtual amount of revenue. And then you ask Google to, okay, well, yeah, I want to maximize the conversion value. So Google will understand, okay, well, a phone call worth much to you, and basically it can help you to get the leads that you want, because you also had Google to, okay, well, this is what I want, this is better for my business than this conversion. So this is how I would.
Cool. So basically, what you're saying is each of those conversion is not equal. Some
Yes.
conversion are more powerful than the other conversion, and it's for organization to kind of prioritize your conversion and add value to those conversion. So let's now talk about bidding strategies. So with Google Ads, you have different options on what you want to bid for. Like, can you just walk us through what bid strategy is so people setting up Google Ads campaign can understand the four options they have basically?
Yes. So there are multiple bidding strategies. So Google is an online auction platform. So basically, it works like, yeah, it works like an online auction platform. So you say, well, yeah, this keyword or these people worth me $5. These people worth me $100. This is how much I want to bid. And generally, there are two types of bid strategies. One is the manual one, where you exactly telling Google that, hey, okay, well, this is how much I want to bid. And the others are the automated bidding strategies. And this is what Google also favors. But for you to start with the automated bidding strategy, you need data. So most likely, if you are a beginner, you will start with a manual bidding strategy
Okay.
until you can upgrade it to an automated bidding strategy. So
Okay.
for example, you say, well, usually I got a phone call after 10 visitors on my site. So a phone call worth me, $30, for example. So then it's safe to say that, okay, well, I can pay $3 for a click maximum. So you will start with a manual
Bidding.
bidding at $3 and see how it goes.
For the automated bidding strategies, there are four type of bidding strategies when people are setting up a Google Ads campaign. You have the conversion, you have then the conversion value, you have the click, and then the impression rate. What's your opinion about this four, and how should they visualize and use it, in your opinion?
Yeah, so if you're just starting with Google Ads, unfortunately, you cannot really go with an automated bidding strategy based on conversions or conversion value because Google, well, doesn't know anything about you. So most likely you need to start with some manual bidding strategy or some bidding strategy which is around clicks and impressions other than actual conversions. So for example, you can set your budget and say Google, okay, well, I need to get maximum amount of click from my budget for this amount of money, and the click starting to coming in, and because you set it up the conversion tracking right,
Yeah.
hopefully, then and the conversion starts to appear in your account, and after a few weeks you can switch to a more advanced strategy, which would be a conversion-based strategy. So either number of conversions or either conversion value optimized strategy. Obviously, the conversion value is mostly for e-commerce, but
Okay.
as we discussed before, if you have different touch points with the user and you can attribute multiple or different conversion values to each of those conversions, then you can select the conversion value based bidding strategy to have an optimal flow of inquiries.
Okay. So when people are setting up Google Ads campaign, you mentioned earlier on about the Google Ads interface in itself, but there's a lot of confusion about display network and search network. For some gurus out there, they recommend that you just switch it off, but there's a reason why Google has it there. So I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts about when you're creating a Google Ads account, should you, for new people using Google Ads for the first time, what should be their approach for search network and display network, and how does that impact conversion and cost?
Yeah, well, I think the gurus are right in this case. So there are lots of settings within Google Ads, and partly because it's a complex system, partly probably deliberately. So to spend more money with Google Ads. Kind of like rule of thumb, if you start with Google Ads, not an e-com service-based business, you should only start with the search network and switch off the display network and switch off the search partner network for start.
Okay.
Um,
So basically, what Erno is saying here is you can't really trust all the default setting, because this is this will be configured, this will be enabled by default when you're setting up your Google Ads account. So if you're not really detailed in how you're setting it up, you're just going to leave it there, and that would essentially waste your money. And when you then start noticing that Google Ads is not working, you hear it a lot of time where you say organizations said, oh, we tried Google Ads, it doesn't work, we wasted a lot of money. These are the kind of settings that Erno is talking about, and there's a high chance that as a small business owner or someone setting up on Google Ads for the first time, these mistakes will waste money and would even eat into your profit margin And if you're not careful, it can even make your business less profitable. So, what I'm trying to say here is this is the part where you actually need someone like Erno to come on your account and help you out. Because sometimes organizations will like, oh, I can't pay that money, it's too expensive. You're not actually paying for the service, you're actually paying for the survival of your organization. Because if you're just starting up, you don't have a lot of money, you've not made a lot of profit, you need an expert with more than 10 years experience to help you with your Google ads so that you not fail. So this is the part where I plug in. If you're looking to set up a Google ads account, or you've set it up already and you're not sure about the results you're getting, or even if you're working with an agency but you're not getting the kind of results you want, it's always good to have a new pair of eyes like Erno to have a look at your account and help you increase the effectiveness of your Google Ads campaign. So look into the show notes and the description below. You're going to find a link where you can contact Erno to help you with your Google Ads campaign. So thank you very much, Erno. That was like a trick question about the display. I know the gurus were right, but I just wanted to let people know that sometimes the gurus are actually right. So now let's talk about location. And the reason why I'm asking about location is because you have some times where you have organizations that are global. They're global, but they're not really global. They're global because they only target English speaking countries. Google Ads offers you opportunities to target location. So, what's your recommendation? And let's use different scenarios: a global organization, a shop that is in one little city in one region, and an organization that has three locations in a country spread in different locations. How do they go about targeting their customers? Let's assume their customers is all over the place as well. This is a lot of questions, but yeah, over
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm glad that you brought it up because it's a trap. So there is a trap there again. So Google location targeting is pretty good. Look, so the smallest area that you can target is a zip code.
Okay.
So in the US, obviously, and somewhat similar in the UK and other parts of the world as well. But there is a trick which is a bit hidden. Presence or interest.
Okay.
There is a switch because even if you select a small area, small zip code somewhere near you that you want to target, if you don't take that radio button, then probably you will still getting a lot of clicks out of your area. That's the default setting. So people even outside of the country, if for some reason Google is thinking that, hey, yeah, well, this individual is interested in a service, Los Angeles, still you can still get that click even from halfway around the world if Google thinks it's relevant for some reason. But the good news is there is a switch. So if you are a local business owner, always select the presence for the location targeting.
So the way you're talking, you're just making it sounds like Google Ads is like a landmine. If you don't watch what you're stepping on, you can blow up. Essentially.
Because it is.
Okay.
So partly maybe it's built directly this way. Obviously, it's a business, they want to make money. The other way is, well, yeah, look, we give the tool to you, so you can say it to to any X company that you can use the X by chopping trees, and you can use an X by something else. So we just created the tool, so you don't know how to, if you cut your finger with the X, that it's
Yeah.
your
So
problem, it's not ours.
yeah. So to our American friends, it's like giving someone a loaded gun and they don't know how to use the gun. They
Yeah, yeah.
need someone to guide them to be able to know when to put the safety on, switch off the safety. Again, this is where you need to talk to experts like Erno to help you optimize your Google ads. So, but there's this thing about radius targeting as well. So, apart from location, can you just talk on the radius targeting within that location targeting in Google Ads?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's a really, really good targeting system location-wise for within Google Ads. So the smallest area is zip code, but you also can do radius targeting, and you also can target counties, you also can target cities, etc., etc.
Okay.
You also can exclude targeting. So for example, you target a county, but you don't want to target certain cities. So also you can do it. So it works both ways. You select a larger area, but you don't want to select some areas. You can exclude those from the targeting.
Okay, so basically, Google Ads has that feature where you can exclude certain locations
Yes,
within
yeah,
a region. Okay,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
So, what about language? How important is that? Because sometimes, especially in the US, where you have certain people, maybe Spanish speaking, and then if you're targeting, say, the whole of North America or even the whole world, is so. How do you go about the language targeting? Do you recommend just targeting one language, or how do you normally go about that?
It's a It's a tricky question. To be honest, most of the time in the US, we don't. So if someone's within the US, it's
English.
fine for us. So it's very, very rare cases when we exclude or when we just select English as a language within the US.
Okay.
So also in other countries, it's a bit more tricky probably, especially with some non-speaking countries. But the location, so the language targeting is, I think, is probably less relevant
Okay. Okay. It's not that
than the.
important. You should just go
I
with one
think it's not
language.
that important. Yeah.
Okay. What about audience targeting? Because that's another feature within Google Ads. Can you just for someone setting up Google Ads, what should they be thinking about when they get to that audience targeting stage of Google Ads campaign setup?
So if you're just setting up your campaign, I don't think you need to work a lot on your audience targeting, because mostly your campaigns will be search campaigns or performance max campaigns, and yeah. However, what is a bit important here is that your own audience. So your current audience, your audience signals, not the audiences that built in the Google Ads, but kind of like the audiences you have currently,
Okay.
because you can import your newsletter subscribers
Okay.
into Google Ads. You can import your previous visitors on the website into Google Ads, and those are, I would say, like 100 times useful for you than the built-in audiences within in Google Ads.
Okay, so basically, what you're saying is Google Ads has inbuilt audience, and then you can get audience from your email marketing, from your website. So it's better to use those audience that are already aware of your brand, and then you can then use those ads to target them. Nice, nice. So in terms of this is a very tricky question because on one side, if you want to use logic or common sense, but in the other side, common sense or logic would not work if you're not an expert. So, can you just talk through ad rotation? Because sometimes you have some certain type of companies where people might be searching for their ads when they're at home on the weekend. And then you have some companies that restrict you to what you can do on your work computer. So, what's your opinion about ad rotation and ad scheduling? Because Google Ads give you the features of being able to rotate the ads as well as schedule the ads. How do you leave that setting, or do you think it's worth being nitpicky about that?
Well, I think you're referring into not ad rotation, but the ad scheduling.
Yes, yes. Both ad
Yeah,
scheduling and as well as rotation as well.
yeah. So ad scheduling is much more important than ad rotation.
Okay.
To be honest, ad rotation is in the current age. It's
You don't need it. You just leave it for
Yeah, yeah,
AI to do.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. The AI will handle it for you.
Okay.
But the ad scheduling is that the part which is more important.
Okay.
So I've seen this as well, and many businesses make that mistake. So unfortunately losing money. So for example, if you have a dental clinic and it's not open on
Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday, it's a bad idea to run the ads on Saturday and Sunday.
But would they, again, I'm just talking from a customer's perspective. What if
Yeah,
I want to search on Saturday and Sunday and then book for the week? How does that work? Is it better to just leave
tricky
from the dentist?
part.
Okay.
Tricky part. Yeah. So that's a tricky part. Well, usually there are a lot of searches, after hour searches, or immediate or emergency services.
Okay.
So either you can filter those um, by keywords.
Okay.
So if someone is looking for a service that you don't have, you can filter that out.
Okay.
But also you can try to control your budget and ads by running the ads at the time when it's most likely to be relevant for you. So it's not a black and white question that for a dental office to not running the ads during the weekend,
Yeah.
because obviously customers are searching mostly for, so how should I say, so probably it's good to run the ad for dental implants and other larger procedures,
Okay.
and leave out the dentist near me type of searches where you don't know if they need an immediate appointment or not.
Okay. So like you prioritize what you showed during those weekends.
Yeah. So you need to consider this as well.
Okay. So it's not like one size fits all. You need to think about it. And
Yeah,
again,
you
you need
need
to,
to think about the business dynamics. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
you need someone like Erno to help you think from a Google Ads perspective while also asking you questions about your business. Because you, as a small business owner or mid sized business, you're not necessarily going to learn Google Ads. You can learn it, but you would not be able to avoid those errors and those mistakes again. So if you're looking for Google Ads experts to help you audit your existing ad or to help you create a new ad or to help you scale your ad as well, reach out to Erno. You can find how to contact him in the description.
So I talked a lot about Google PPC, and obviously that's my expertise. But there is another part of Google Ads, the website, which people usually oversee. So as a Google expert, I can bring visitors to your website. But if the website is not good enough or the landing page is not clear, then basically you paid for the visitor and it just
Yeah. So
you left it.
Yeah, so in my opinion, thanks. That's a good question because Google Ads and landing pages and websites is like a relay race, as you mentioned. So you, Erno, would do all the good stuff with the ads, get the good quality traffic. But we also know that even the good quality traffic, if you put them into a bad website, it's not going to work. So my recommendation for most organizations is first is the mindset. The same energy you have with Google Ads, you need to have that same energy with your website. What I mean by energy is with Google Ads, you're always improving, tweaking things, adjusting budget, changing creatives. But when it comes to the website, no love. You're sending the same traffic to the same page, nothing is changing. And you're then, if it's not working, you're then blaming Google Ads. So, from a landing page optimization perspective, let's start with the foundation of the problem. The foundation of the problem is the people that designed the website. If you look at most websites by default, the person that designed it doesn't have Google Ads experience, doesn't have landing page or UX experience, doesn't have content experience. They normally graphic designers. So what I normally recommend is to your point earlier on is the same thing as relevance. You need to make sure that your landing page, your website is relevant. And for location businesses, you also need to make sure that you have enough landing pages for those ad copy and those ad groups because some instances people would start creating a lot of Google ads and they just send in everything to the same landing page. It's not really tailored for them. So relevance is the first thing you need to look at. And you also need to make sure that the call to action in the Google ads also is relevant when people land on those landing pages as well. You need to make sure that you remove any distraction on your page. Anything that will make the page not load quickly. Look at your page on mobile. That's where you need to start from as well. You need to make sure that, okay, you have credibility and trust. If you need help with setting up your landing page to optimize for Google Ads, reach out to Erna or myself, and we'll be happy to help you. So it's not something I can answer in this short time, but just know that your page needs to be relevant. It needs to be fast. It needs to have not just text. It needs to also align with your Google Ads, and you need to design your page the same way Erno would design the Google Ads account. All the services, all the things that Erno thinks or someone doing your Google Ads thinks they need, you need to listen to them. So it's literally you as a designer or someone doing the landing page working closely with your Google Ads team as well. So yeah, we're almost through with the podcast. Erno, thank you very much so far. I just have a few more questions before we go. So for someone looking to start Google Ads, what would you recommend for their budget, minimum, maximum budget?
That's a tricky question. I usually start thinking backwards, because there are, well, basically the CPC prices ranges from like $1 to 300, or even higher. I've seen, I think the highest is like $2,000 one click. So
Wow. What's
yeah,
that?
I think some law related term.
Wow.
I've seen that somewhere. So
That's
yeah,
scary.
it is, yeah.
$2,000 for one click. Wow.
Yeah, $2,000 for one click.
Okay.
But it ranges from one to $30. So I usually think backwards. Okay, well, to teach Google about your services, you need 30 conversions per month. So if you have like a 3% conversion rate with a $5 CPC, then it's about $5,000 month budget, what you need to start with Google Ads.
Okay.
If it's different type of service for like service-based businesses, 7% conversion rate, the CPC around $20. So you need around 8,500 per month budget to start with. These are a bit high. So these are a bit high budget for a few people I know. This is kind of like the ideal way of starting a Google Ads account. So you can start with a smaller amount, and sometimes it works, sometimes not. But if you really want to invest in your business to basically guaranteed get the results from Google Ads,
Yeah.
this is kind of like the budget you need, and you need it for 2-3 months.
Okay.
So as you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of other people already there, some larger players, and some people are there for like 3-4 years. So they have a lot of data. They exactly know which zip codes are working. They exactly know which demographics are working. You don't know when you start it. So you need to build that data within your account. So that's why I recommend this is kind of like as a starting budget,
Okay. Okay.
thinking backwards.
Okay. So basically, what you're saying is think about how much you're willing to spend and then how many conversions you need. And then that would then help you inform the budget. Is that
So
correct?
start with the conversions. So I need 30 conversions per month
Okay.
from my campaigns to be able to Google to kick the AI in and help me to find
The
and help me
optimal
to
amount.
get the optimal amount. Yeah. And this is the CPC in my industry. So this is the kind of conversion rate I think I will get, and just do the calculation backwards.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Arno. It's been back to back. You've kind of delivered a lot of insights. I'm sure our listeners will be really, really happy with this episode of the podcast. And again, you can get Arno's contact details in the show notes and the description below. Reach out to him. He's a global PPC expert with clients all over the world. And if you're needing growth optimization from an SEO, analytics, and conversion rate optimization, you can reach out to me as well. So the final question, Arno, when someone has set up the Google Ads and it's running, how regularly should they monitor it? Like, is it something that you still need someone like Arno, or do you want to jump the gun and then go do it yourself and then get into trouble and then run back to Arno? So, what do you recommend with optimizing and like ongoing success of Google Ads?
Yeah. So if you start alone, which is I don't recommend you to start, but if you start alone, then well, you need to look your account like a hawk because because the first few days can be pretty serious. So you most likely see some keywords you don't want to see, and hopefully it will be resolved within a few days. But the first few days are critical
Okay.
to see if Google understands the kind of like the whole concept of your business. After that, I would say twice a week. So once the conversion starts picking in and you don't see too many bad search terms, and you also, get some phone calls from submissions, then you can go it to like twice a week,
Okay.
and then you can maybe move it to once a week checking. However, there is one mistake that a lot of people make, is that they are making changes in the account too fast. So I'm going a larger amount of changes. So for example, you start with a $50 budget, you are not getting any conversions for 5 days, and you, oh Jesus, it's not
It's not
doing,
working.
and it's not working, and you kind of like cut the budget in half, and oh, okay, I'm just spending 25 now. It's
It's still not working.
yeah, but also if you are making too large changes in the account, that doesn't really help Google, because you just confuses Google. So you can check your account twice a week, but try to stick with your strategy at least for a few weeks. See if it's working. If it starts working, okay. If it's not start working, then switch the strategy after 2 3 weeks, and then again observe and see how it goes, but not try to change the strategy in every other day. Okay, well, today I'm going to run the window replacement ad, tomorrow I'm going to run the door ads and see if it works, and then the third day you run the flooring campaign. So start with the window campaign, then run the window replacement campaign for 2 3 weeks. If it's not working, okay, then switch it off, move to the door campaign, maybe it will work, or change the bidding strategy, but don't do it daily.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, thank you very much, Arno. So, basically, what you're saying is people should not take knee jerk reactions. They should be calm and they should let the campaign run for a while to marinate for the AI
Yes,
to
yeah.
understand. Then, obviously, they also need someone like Honor as well. So, in some instances, you don't really need to hire someone to do your PPC. You can work with an external consultant like Arno to kind of help you create that campaign. And as he said, sometimes at the beginning is when you need to actually monitor the campaigns. And when you then decide, oh, this campaign is performing really, really well. Thank you, Arno. Let's increase the budget. You need someone to help you also know where to increase the budget and where not to increase the budget. So thank you very much. If you're
You're welcome.
looking for Google Ads training as well, in house training, someone to come into your organization and upskill your in house team, you can reach out to Arno as well. And if you need growth marketing consulting from a CRO, landing page optimization, and SEO perspective, you can reach out to myself as well. Thank you very much. And we'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.